I haven't used guitar tabs in over a decade, and that's because I've learned to play by ear. Now, don't get me wrong, guitar tabs can be an excellent learning tool, but there is something magical about being able to turn on any song and instantly play along to it. Now, I know there are many musicians out there that believe that this skill is only for the gifted among us, but the truth is that anyone can learn how to do this. So before we go any further, I'm going to throw on a track that I've never heard before, and I'm gonna figure it out on the fly and play along to it. So that is a very quick and raw example of where you can take these playing by ear skills. All I did there was fiddle around and find the key very quickly, start deciphering the chord progression in the song, and because I know what key I'm in, I know all the scales I'm allowed to improvise with, and then it's just about recognizing patterns. All stuff that you or anyone else can learn how to do. All right, before we get too carried away here, let's take a step back because I want to talk about the pros and cons of using guitar tabs, because that's what this video is really about. So let's start with why tabs can be a really good thing. Firstly, they're very accessible. Unlike learning how to read sheet music, learning how to read tabs is very simple. Anyone can learn to do it in 10 minutes or so. And that makes it very, very easy to start making use of these tabs and learning how to play your favorite songs. Many other instruments out there don't have a system like this, so we should consider ourselves pretty lucky. Another great thing about tabs is that they are accurate, for the most part, which means when you are learning to play a song, you are far less likely to miss something. And when you're starting out, that's especially great because you are leaning on someone else's abilities to be able to learn the song and present it to you in a way that you can digest. It's important to note that back in the day, guitar tab websites were notorious for being awful. You'd have to sift through a whole bunch of different versions of a tab to actually find one that was remotely accurate. These days, things are way better, and typically the tabs that you do find online, they're probably going to be pretty accurate. Another great thing is that really fine, intricate details can also be communicated through tabs. So that easy to miss slide or microbend that really makes that guitar part pop will be right there in front of you. And then the last thing is tabs are really great when you are learning something complicated that you need to start off by learning slowly. A lot of playing by ear is developed through trial and error and recognizing patterns. So when something is really complicated or is happening and going very, very quickly, it can be really hard to pick up all of that information by ear. For that sort of thing, I think there is no better resource to have at your disposal than tabs. All right, now I want to talk about why relying on tabs can be a bad thing. And the first big thing is you are not engaging the part of your brain that's actually connecting your fingers to your ears and then your ears to the music. Let me give you an analogy. If someone were to ask you a critical thinking question, there's a really big difference between someone sliding you a piece of paper with the answer written on it and you reading that answer out loud and you coming up with that answer yourself and saying it out loud. There's a pretty significant gap there in understanding. And when you look down at tabs and just play what they tell you to play, you aren't actually applying any understanding of music. Now, if your only goal on the guitar is just to replicate your favorite songs, then you don't really need to go any further, and tabs are definitely going to be your best bet. But if down the road you do want to get into songwriting or potentially collaborating with other musicians, then you're going to need to expand your skill set a little bit. So the way that I like to think of it is that there are three main methods for learning and playing along to songs. Number one is tabs or sheet music. Number two is being able to play by ear. And then number three is being able to play based on what you see another guitar player playing. We'll call this one playing by sight, not to be confused with sight reading. The reason I believe these other methods matter so much more is because when you are learning something, you are actually understanding the why and the how behind that thing you're learning. And that means that every single piece of information that you absorb will become a tool that you can use in different musical contexts. For example, if you learn a lick by ear, you're gonna know and understand why that lick works in that particular song. So now you can take that new lick that you learned from this one song and you can transpose it and use it in a totally different song because you know how it works inside the music. The reason I think it's so important when you start collaborating with other musicians as well is because, especially if you're writing music together, they're not going to be able to generate tabs for you to copy, right? Let's say it's another guitar player or a piano player or whatever else. You need to be able to look at what they're doing or listen to what they're playing and be able to figure it out for yourself. Also, learning songs this way is far faster than learning each individual song through tabs, because rather than reading and memorizing each individual section of the song, you're essentially absorbing the song in its entirety as you play it. So the ultimate goal here is to have all three of these methods at your disposal. For me, when I'm learning a new song, I kind of use a tier system. I'll put the song on and I'll try and figure it out by ear. If there's anything I'm uncertain about, then I'll move to the next tier, which would be to look up a video of the guitar player playing that song, and then that will help me decipher the rest of the stuff that I haven't figured out. And then if I still feel like I can't figure it out, that's when I would go and look up tabs. Now, the type of music that I play and listen to hasn't required that in the last 10 years, like I said. But if I did want to learn something that was very technical, that is the point when I would start looking at tabs. So if this inspired you at all to want to start learning to play guitar by ear, I have a really good lesson that kind of intros this whole concept. It'll teach you how to find the key of a song by ear, which is essentially step one. If you're really serious about ditching tabs and becoming a whole by ear guitar player, I do also have a full-length step-by-step guitar course called Listen and Play, where over the span of 2 hours, I will take you all the way through my method for playing guitar completely by ear. I've also made this course really accessible, and you can pick it up for less than the price of a private lesson. I'll put the links to both the free lesson I mentioned earlier and the Listen and Play guitar course up on the screen for you now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.